What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Today I'm making a French onion beef dip sandwich. It's a French onion soup that meets a beef dip sandwich. Let's get on with the recipe. It's not that everything gets put in between two slices of bread. It's that when you make something this delicious, it works so great in between two pieces of bread. And then you're probably saying to yourself, man, this is the easy way out. And my answer to that is, obviously, you're not a golfer. If you don't understand that reference, it's totally cool. It has nothing to do with this recipe. But talking about this recipe, look at this piece of beef. Chuck roast piece of beef that's gonna get broken down in this pressure cooker. And the first thing you wanna do when breaking down or braising meat is sear it. We typically sear the meat and brown it before braising it. This is gonna lock in the flavors. Now, when designing this recipe, I wanted to combine two of my favorite things, braised meat and French onion soup. So we're gonna use French onion soup as the braising liquid. Naturally, the base to any French onion soup is a whole lot of cut up onions. Not to mention some garlic, a little bit of thyme, some beef broth. The whole thing here is to break down the flavor of the onion into the broth. Then we're going to extract the broth from the onions, but we're also going to use the onions inside this sandwich later on. But not before we jack up the flavor with some other things like Worcestershire sauce, some soy sauce. You know, the whole thing here is to add as much flavor as possible because we're braising the meat. And all the flavor that we're adding in the sauce is essentially going to penetrate the meat. If this isn't evidence for you guys to go out there and invest in a pressure cooker, I don't really know what is. Speaking of which, check out the Amazon link in my description to get your stuff today. But anyways, look at this broken down meat. Oh my goodness. All we gotta do now is extract the meat from the liquid, set it aside and let it cool so that we can fondle it. Yes, fondle it. We have to rip this apart and shred it, but not before we extract the cooked onions with the liquid. Now save the cooked onions because we're gonna use it inside the sandwich later on. I know I said I had to let the beef kind of get to room temperature before shredding it, but I'm impatient and my taste buds and my taste bud brain are hungry. So I'm using a fork and some tongs to rip this apart, but you could alternatively use 2 forks, strap on some gloves, use your hands, or have patience and wait for it to get to room temperature and use your fingers. Okay, it's sandwich building time. Now, if you've never used mayonnaise to brown your bread, you haven't browned your bread. Trust me, using mayonnaise not only gives it a little bit of flavor, but adds some shine and some texture elements to the bread as well. It's something that butter just doesn't have. To the first slice of bread, I'm adding some provolone cheese. Now, when I'm making grilled cheeses, I love using provolone because it adds flavor, but also has an incredible stretchiness for the ultimate cheese pull. On top of the cheese, some of this shredded beef, and on top of the beef, some of the extracted and broken down onions. Now, it looks like relish, kind of looks like jam even. Who cares? It's so good. And then to finish the sandwich off before we put it back in the pan, some Gruyere, which is some extra stinky shredded Swiss cheese. And a classic cheese when making a French onion soup. Now, if I said it once, I've said it 1,000, no 2,000 times. Add a little bit of water to the pan and cloche it, aka close it. The steam will help go inside the nooks and crannies of the sandwich, further melting the rest of that cheese. Whoa, guys, I know I say it often, but this is truly and utterly the most delicious and phantasmically amazing sandwich I have ever created on the face of this earth. Now, this on its own is an incredible taste explosion, but when you introduce a dip that actually is French onion soup, it takes it to a whole place. The bread is soaking up all that French onion soup goodness, and it acts like a sponge for my mouth. Check out RecipeChampions.com or the link down below to make this in the comfort of your own home today. I know I say it every time, but I got so much of this to eat and I'm excited. Bye.